Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to another edition of the Foolish Fish Esoteric News with your weekly updates on the worlds of esoteric and occult book publishing and arts and events and paraphernalia. There's a lot of news this week, but how could I not start with this picture sent to us by Black Letter Press on Instagram? The picture of the Esoterism of Dante, the book that I translated, of course. It's been a very, very long time since this was announced, but it looks like we're on the final leg here. This was posted last Saturday, 16th of April. And yeah, it's now Thursday, 21st of April at the time that I'm recording this. Many of you watching will see this on Friday. If you're not members, if you are members, then you'll see this just in a few hours after I post it. And yeah, it looks like they are going to be receiving the books at their offices within the next couple of days, from what it looks like, as they say next week, and they posted this last Saturday. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow they should receive those books and start shipping them out. So that is really, really nice news, and I'm very pleased to see how beautiful the book looks from this picture. Very, very cool. Right, this is one thing that caught my attention. The Ars Notoria, the Notary Art of Solomon, is getting a new treatment by Matthias Castle. Now, it's not out for a little while yet. We're looking at February 21st, 2023. Nevertheless, there's quite a bold move considering Dr. Stephen Skinner released his 2-volume treatment of the Ars Notoria just over the past couple of years. Nevertheless, I'm very curious to see if there's going to be a different take or if it's going to be more of the same. It certainly seems to be contained in a single volume, 896 pages. That is significant. I just wonder what different can be brought to the table on this. So yeah, very exciting news. Inner traditions very often do usually I'll say do some very high quality stuff. So yeah, interesting to see a competing perspective and a competing point of view there. I wonder if this was just happening in parallel anyway, or if one was inspired by the other. Who knows? Anyway, be curious to keep an eye on the gossip around that. Right, moving on to news from Starfire Press. Hecate's Fountain is getting a new printing. So Starfire Press have been reprinting all of the Typhonian trilogies written by Kenneth Grant, of course. And this is the 6th book in that 9-book series. I've bought the previous 5. I've opened the first. It looks very, very interesting. I'm really looking forward to having a moment to digging deep into this. Nevertheless, this is going to be the second printing, so a new printing basically of the second edition that came out in 2014. The first edition was 1992. So this, freshly typeset, incorporating corrections noted in Kenneth Grant's personal copy of the book, etc., etc. All of that was in the 2014 edition and will be in this second printing of it. So that's really, really nice. They're coming out quite regularly now, every between 2 and 4 months in between printing. So that's really, really cool. Paperback and hardcover, and you can order directly through Starfire Publishing if you're in Europe or most of the rest of the world. If you're in Canada and the USA, they recommend that you order through Holmes Publishing. There we are. Moving on to news from Llewellyn, who have got this interesting looking new book coming up in at the beginning of May. I think it's the 1st of May that, let me see, no, just May 2022. The Secret Texts of Hellenic Polytheism. So I was very curious reading this little blurb here. George Gemistos, we're talking early Renaissance, called himself Plethon, helped trigger the Renaissance by reawakening an interest in Platonism. But his secret book on its neo-pagan theology was burnt after his death. Only 16 chapters of Plethon's Book of Laws escaped the flames, and for the first time ever, they've been translated into English in their entirety. That sounds interesting. That sounds like there's some meat there, possibly. Of course, we have to remember that this, at the time, right, it's 14th, 15th century. So they were, or rather he was, recreating what he imagined Greek polytheism was at the time, in the same way as that's what we're trying to do nowadays, right? With so many different traditions, not only Greek polytheism, not only Hellenic polytheism, right? So many other traditions as well. And I think it's going to be a very interesting opportunity to read what the Renaissance practitioners were reading, right? What they were basing their own recreation of the ancient religions on. Seems like a good idea to reprint. To print for the first time, to publish for the first time to me. Right, news from Topaz House Publications. Another really interesting offering here, the Chaldaic philosophy, In the 17th century, Thomas Stanley, a teacher and author of the first history of philosophy in the English language, created the first translation of the Chaldaic oracles, known to me as the Chaldean oracles, right? Because I think that's what Thomas Taylor actually called them. So this 17th century, so before Thomas Taylor's translation and before Wynne Westcott's, Stanley accompanied his translation with a translation of Byzantine intellectual Michael Celsus's commentary on the oracles, as well as a Renaissance Byzantine Gemistos Plethon's short commentary on the oracle. So on top of this, using the resources available at the time, Stanley outlined what he could reconstruct of the magic, astrology, and religion of the Chaldeans, the Persians, and the Sabians. Amazingly, Stanley's translation and interpretation of the Chaldean oracles has proven to be more in line with modern scholarship than that of Wynne Westcott of the Golden Dawn. And so Topaz is reprinting Stanley's work, and that's very, very exciting to me, and including Stanley's translation of Pico della Mirandola's commento on a poem by Girolamo Benivenieni, which is an elaboration on some of ideas in Plato's Symposium. That sounds, sorry for the little download of words there. I think it's a bit I wouldn't have been able to do justice to this, but it sounds very exciting. It sounds like some valuable lost information is once again being brought back to life by Topaz House. Those of you who have not seen my review of The Magicians Discovered, go and check that out. Hopefully I'll remember to link that. I'm very impressed with what I've seen from Topaz House so far, and if they do as great a job with this as they did with witchcraft, the discovery of witchcraft, yes, I think that it'll be a really exciting, really important piece of work right there. Okay, news from darling Georgina Rose, of course, who is presumably putting the final touches to her book. There is already a listing on Amazon for it. Begin with True Will, Living Thelema in the Modern Aeon. I think this is probably a book that many people are excited about. I'm a fan. I think she's got way more knowledge and wisdom than most people out there, and I respect her very deeply, and I will certainly be picking up her book. This is going to be coming out on the 1st of October 2022. Very exciting news. Right, so I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get a bit closer to the date, I suppose, and when we know a little bit more about what the contents will be. Of course, there is a blurb here, which I'll let you read in your own time. Very exciting stuff. News from Atramentous Press. I told you there was a lot of news today. The second volume of Being and Non-Being in Occult experience is now available. You can pre-order it right here in the deluxe edition or in the standard edition. Standard edition at £71. The deluxe edition going for £434. If you've ever seen a deluxe Atramentous Press book, you'll know where that money's going. We're also getting some looks at the covers of the Baron's Citadel in its various formats, with the standard edition in the same red as the Book of the Black Dragon volumes 1 and 2, and then we've got a somatic edition for £500, and then the Baron Citadel talismatic edition here for £681, which you can pay for in 2 settlements, right? An initial deposit of £400 and then a settlement of £281. It's a lot of money, but yeah, as I say, they are particularly beautiful special editions. You know, it's all very beautifully hand chiseled leather and stuff. It's really lovely stuff. Right. Oh, is it looking like there's a Book of the Black Dragon Volume 2 Deluxe Edition still available? Interesting. All right. Moving on to, as if there wasn't enough news today, I added this one at the last minute. I saw this being advertised, and I kind of piqued my interest. Learn how professionals make book covers. It looks very interesting. So it's a technical book, a very beautifully produced technical book on creating beautifully produced books. And, you know, since that's kind of what my channel is largely about, right? Beautiful books. It seemed like an interesting one maybe to add into the news. There are... you get an idea of what the book looks like. It seems that the book itself is kind of interestingly created. There's a lovely video that you can watch. The book itself is it's the price of a technical book, and then you can buy it alongside some other documents, it seems. Let me just try. I think this really is the only place you can see what's inside. It looks interesting. There we go. Anyway, thought it was a little bit of fun to add here. Moving on to some events, and then I'll show you some very cool stuff. So talking about events first of all, there is P.T. Mistleberger, the fantastic author of The Dancing Sorcerer, is having an event called Conscious Relationship Trainings, a 10-week training in developing relationship skills via applied shadow work. Now, it is a local event, from what I can tell, happening in Vancouver. If that sounds local to you, or at least interesting enough to be willing to travel, the details, of course, down in the description. There'll be a link to this Facebook page so you can find out more, read the full blurb. P.T. Mistleberger's workshops are invariably very, very well received, very, very well loved. I've never attended one, but if his in-person teaching is as clear and engaging as his writing is, I'm imagining it's probably more so, then you know that you're on a winner. That looks very exciting. This is one that Frater Acher posted, and oh my goodness, how beautiful is this brass kappa. A bowl made of solid cast metal with a brass EPL and lacquer finish, polished and refined by hand. So that's available at Buster and Punch. Isn't it gorgeous? Isn't it beautiful? For all your ritual needs. Very, very lovely. Moving on to this gorgeous new artwork by Stuart Littlejohn, who did all of the artwork, of course, for the Magician's deck for Cryo, you know. The Imperatrix Omnia, I'm just absolutely amazed at how beautiful this is. I can't get over it. It's available on Redbubble, so available as various sizes of art print. And as usual on many other media, you know, as a notebook and poster and so on and so forth. And yeah, of course, while you're there, you'll no doubt take a second to have a look at all the rest of his amazing artwork. Isn't that just something else? Moving on to Reverend Zemmi Jehuti's artist shop on Threadless. Just so much cool art here. So he's just made his art available on Threadless, and you can have them printed on T-shirts. He's talking about making more of these, and specific spells to be printed on T-shirts, so that you can actually walk around wearing your spell and so on. It looks very cool to me. That's an interesting T-shirt. I think people would take. They might look twice, right? That's very, very nice. Speaking of Frater Zemmi Jehuti, excuse me. Just a little reminder that yesterday there were 10 copies left of the Book of Flesh and Feather. Through Theon Publishing. So if you were hoping to get your hands on a first edition of that book, it's now or never. It really, really is. There we are. Moving on to news from Anathema Publishing, finally, who are reminding us of their musical offering. So Cryo Chamber Selection, that of course Anathema Publishing and This Is Darkness have come together to choose. So this is all ambient or dark ambient music for specifically selected for reading and for ritual. A lot of this is available to sample on Bandcamp, if I remember correctly. Definitely worth having a little listen to if you enjoy dark ambient music. And finally, my board game of the week. You know that I'm a massive Unmatched fan, And I've talked about Battle of Legends Volume 2 in the past, but today I'm looking at the new Marvel versions. There are 2 new Marvel boxes, one featuring well, let's click on them. We've got Daredevil here. Come on, let's open the page. Yeah, Daredevil, Bullseye and Elektra on this one. Those of you who don't know Unmatched, by the way, it's a dueling game. You can play it with 3 or 4 players, but it's really designed for 2 players. You play a character, and someone else, and your opponent plays another character, and it doesn't matter whether they're from the same universe. One of you can be playing Dracula, the other one can be playing Bruce Lee, and it's very, very fast-paced, very engaging, very short rule book, but every character comes with its own deck of cards, which you discover as you're playing, and it's just great fun, really thematic. The characters work and move and fight in ways that really make sense for them, right? There's who else is there? There's I like the Little Red Riding Hood versus Beowulf, which is a nice set. But yes, this is the second set here that I was looking at, with Moon Knight, Ghost Rider and Luke Cage. I don't know if many of you have been following the new series Moon Knight. Some very interesting takes on the Egyptian pantheon there going on. If you haven't started watching, it's worth a look. There's some cool stuff going on there. Right, and that's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much, as always, for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. Really helps the channel. I really appreciate it. Every time somebody clicks a thumbs up, it really helps. And then also subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And you might even like to take a look at the memberships, right? The memberships give you access to the Discord and all the other good stuff that comes with memberships and the different levels. Right, there we are. Thanks again for watching. Take care of yourselves and see you very soon with another video. Bye-bye.